Have you ever sat in that heavy silence at a family dinner? Here on Human Stories, we retell those moments, honest, everyday, sometimes controversial. Every story is a mirror. Subscribe, join the conversation, and maybe find a little healing. The room was winter bright, metal and glass, a slow metronome of beeps under the wash of the vents. My hand sat steady in a stranger's skull while the city rinsed itself in rain outside. Chlorhexidine hung in the air, sharp as mint. I breathed through the mask and traced white matter with a hook and patience. Dr. Harrington, a voice near my ear muffled by a surgical mask. Beacon Hill Academy is on the line. They say it is urgent. Take a message, I said without looking up. They insist. It is about your grandson. The suction hissed. The scrub nurse glanced at me, then away. I kept my hand on the Sylvian fissure. Nothing moved that I did not move. Still, something inside my chest dropped like a tray. I do not have a grandson, I said. The microforceps didn't shake. I made the next cut and handed off the instrument. Should I tell them to call back? Tell them I will call when I close. We closed. I tied silk. I listened to the monitor settle and the anesthesiologist hum under his breath. I scrubbed out. The water ran hot over my wrists until the skin pinked. In the charting room, I called back. This is Dr. Sloan Harrington. Dr. Harrington. The voice was warm and precise. Marla Quinn, head of Beacon Hill Academy. I would not interrupt a surgery if there was any other choice. The student is here with me. He asked for you by name. What student? Noah Reyes. I do not know a Noah Reyes. A breath on the line, his mother is Eva Reyes. The name landed where old names live. That quiet place people build when their life has already burned once. Aiden's name moved behind it like a shadow. Where are you? I said. Our office. It is raining, she added, as if that explained anything. I can keep him until you arrive. Beacon Hill's front hall gleamed with wax and the smell of wet wool. A red line train complained across the Longfellow Bridge, metal on metal, a thin blade of sound that slid through the old windows. Banners for crew and debate hung above a row of plaques. In the glass door, I saw myself small and exact. Blazer over scrubs, hairpin smooth, hands quiet at my sides. Dr. Quinn rose to greet me, silver bob, soft eyes that had seen too much of other people's children. Thank you for coming. I nodded and did not sit. Noah, she called toward the side office. Come in, please. He moved like someone who had learned to take up less space than he had. Wet hoodie jeans patched at the knee, a smear of classroom chalk on his sleeve, knuckles scuffed. He pushed his hood back. The hair was dark. The eyes were not. They were the clear Atlantic blue of my father's eyes, Aiden's eyes, my eyes. He looked at me with a focus beyond his years, as if he were reading a scan. He paused at the hem of my blazer where the pale cuff of a scrub top showed. Then he took in my face. He did not flinch. You look like your picture, he said. His voice cracked halfway, then found itself. What picture? I said. My voice was level. Inside my pulse wrote a new chart. In my mom's box, he said. The one with my dad's things. What is this about? I asked Dr. Quinn without taking my eyes off him. Noah was involved in an altercation, she said. He struck another student. The language used about his mother was unacceptable. Given his home situation, I suspended him pending a parent conference. His mother has not answered any calls. He finally told us about you. I'm not sure there's an about me to tell, I said. Noah's mouth tightened. You are Sloan Harrington, he said. My mother said that name like it hurt and helped at the same time. My hands wanted to do something. They did not. I tucked them into my pockets and felt the residue of scrub soap. How long has your mother been gone? I asked. 3 days, he said. He lifted his chin to keep his voice from shaking. Her boyfriend said she needed space. She does not leave without telling me. What boyfriend? Cole, he said. Cole Danner. He does not like me. He swallowed. The skin of his throat was thin and pale. He drinks. He says things. The red line sang again beyond the rain. In my mind, it tracked a fine red line through time. Why did you hit the other student? I asked. Noah looked at Dr. Quinn. She nodded once. He looked back at me. He said my mom ran off with someone from her work, he said. He said if she had gotten rid of me, she would have a better life. The boy who said it did not matter. The sentence did. I understood the weight that makes a hand move before a mind does. Do you have proof of who your father is? I asked. I hated how it sounded. He flinched and then stood straighter. My father's name is Aiden Harrington, he said. He reached into the front pocket of his hoodie and pulled out a small round thing wrapped in tissue. He set it carefully on the polished table and opened it like it might wake up and run. A brass compass caught the office light. The lid was scratched in a way I knew. Inside the cover, someone had engraved 2 words. True North AA. I did not breathe. The last time I saw that compass, it was on Aiden's desk under an astronomy chart. He had palmed it like a coin trick on the way out to meet a girl. I touched the edge of the case with one finger. Oil and brass. The metal was warm where his hand had held it, where Aiden's had, where my father's had. Where did you get this? I asked. My mom kept it, he said. She said my dad gave it to her when they were 17. She kept everything. What else did she keep? I asked. It came out softer. Pictures, he said. Letters. A ring in a little velvet bag. He lifted one shoulder. I do not look at them unless she says I can't. Dr. Quinn cleared her throat. The school cannot release Noah to this coal, she said. His behavior in the office was alarming. We need an adult who will assume responsibility. If that is not you, we will contact services. I looked at Noah. He did not beg. He simply stood there, soaked to the hem with old bruises on his knuckles and a compass with my son's initials in his hand. I am operating at the hospital this week, I said to Dr. Quinn, but I can sign temporary guardianship. My voice sounded like I was talking to a resident about a schedule. Noah exhaled. It was almost a laugh and almost a sob. He caught it before it became either. I can make my own dinner, he said. I do my homework. I do not need much. What is your address? I asked. I wrote it on a legal pad I had not planned to carry today. Do you feel safe going back there today? His mouth pressed into a line. It is fine, he said, which is how children say not really. We will figure it out, I said. I did not mean later, I meant today. Dr. Quinn slid a folder across the table. I have the form, she said. I took the liberty. I signed where yellow tabs told me to. My hand did not shake. The pen scratched like steady rain on a car roof. We stepped back into the hall. Students moved in the distance like a school of fish, bright sneakers and laughter. Their lives went on, the windows fogged with their breath in the heat. Noah kept the compass cupped in his palm. The needle quivered, tried a direction, tried again. He fell into step beside me without asking if he should. You really did not know about me, he said. It was not accusation. It was a fact he was trying on to see if it fit. I did not, I said. I knew your mother once, that is all. He studied my face the way he had studied my hands. Do you want to know me now? He asked. It was the smallest question and the largest. I thought of the scrub sink, the heat, the way I had scrubbed out and still felt cold. Yes, I said. He nodded like that answer had been waiting in a drawer. We were almost to the front door when my phone vibrated. The screen flashed ER in red. My thumb found the green circle before my eyes did. Harrington, I said. The hallway pressed quiet around the word. Dr. Harrington. This is Dr. Avery Klein in the emergency department. Her voice was clipped and calm. We have a female assault victim. She is unconscious. The ID says Eva Reyes. We are sending her for a CT and paging neurosurgery. I looked at Noah. He looked at me. The compass needle swung toward a fixed point and stilled. I am on my way, I said. Outside, the rain came down harder. A red line train crossed the river and the metal sang. The ambulance bay doors breathed open and the emergency department hit like light. Varnished floors, the sting of alcohol wipes the low churn of voices. I showed my badge and walked through the metal detector with Noah at my side. His hoodie left a dark trail of rain on the tiles. He kept the compass in his fist thumb, whirring the lid. At the charge desk, Avery Klein looked up from a tablet. Her hair was pulled into a tight knot, and her expression was the kind that made residents sit up straighter. She saw Noah, then me, and came around the counter. She's in CT, Avery said. Female, mid-30s, blunt head trauma, right temporal ecchymosis, decreased level of consciousness on arrival, vitals are holding, we are paging neurosurgery. I wanted you aware before the page went out. Call Patel, I said. He will take the case. I will observe. Avery nodded. Conflict policies are what they are. They are there for a reason. I looked at Noah. You may see your mother for 30 seconds before surgery, no more. There will be tubes. She will not look like herself. You will be quiet and you will not touch anything but her hand. Can you do that? He swallowed and nodded. His eyes did not leave Avery's face, as if he could pull more details out of her tone. Gus Lombardi, head of hospital security, appeared as if he had stepped out of the wall. Gus had a way of materializing when the word violence was in the air. Dr. Harrington, he said, you called. The boyfriend is named Cole Danner, I said. He drinks. He's unpredictable. If he shows up, you do not let him pass the first checkpoint. I want his photo on every station. Gus slid a pad toward me. I will need a description. 6, two-lean scar on the left eyebrow, faded tattoo on the wrist, like a compass rose that is missing a point, Noah said. His voice surprised all three of us. He has a jacket that smells like smoke even when he has not smoked. Gus took it down. We will post it, he said, and was gone again. Avery handed me a set of glasses. CT is finishing now. There is subdural on the right with midline shift. We will move to pre-op immediately. I pressed the bridge of my nose with my thumb and forefinger, then dropped my hand. Paige Patel now. We moved. The hospital had its own weather. Air cold and controlled light that was never really daylight. The corridor to CT hummed. Through the window, I saw the scanner draw Eva back out on its white platter. Even under the oxygen mask, her mouth was slack in a way that sent a cold line down my spine. A tech slid a blanket up to her collarbone. There was a purpled bloom at her temple hair matted on one side. Dr. Harrington. Rohan Patel came from the stairwell cap, already on scrubs, tucked eyes bright with focus. I saw the images. Right-sided acute subdural with 3.6 millimeters of shift. We have to go now. I will take a bone flap and evacuate. She is young and otherwise healthy, that helps. I will not scrub in, I said. I will be in the room. He read my face and did not argue. We will keep you on the cold side, Noah. You can see her for a moment before we roll. A nurse draped a blue gown over Noah's hoodie and placed a cap on his head. His fingers hesitated at the edges, then he tucked his hair away like he had done this before. He had not. He moved to the bed slow and precise. Mom, he said, quiet as if they were in a church. He took her hand. The skin was cool and dry under his fingertips. I found her, he told the air that moved in and out of her lungs. I found Dr. Harrington. I am here. He did not cry. He did not rush. He set the compass on the sheet for a heartbeat and touched the lid with 2 fingers, then slid it back into his pocket. That is time, Avery said, gentle and firm. Rohan's team took the bed rails. The bed moved toward the operating room with a whisper of wheels. I walked beside the head of the bed, out of the way, hands at my sides. The door sighed open and the white and stainless light swallowed us. The preoperative bay was a choreography of clipped lines and checklists. Names, allergies, consent. Ava did not answer to her name. I signed as witness to signatures that had to be made even when a patient could not hold a pen. I felt the weight of each stroke. The anesthesiologist slid a hand under Eva's jaw, checked the tube, checked the tape. A nurse covered the bruise at her temple with a square of gauze before the prep solution painted her skin. You know the policies, Avery said softly. You can observe from the gallery. I know. I turned to Noah. We will wait in the donor lounge during the case. There is a couch. There are bad snacks. I will bring you something hot. He nodded and watched the bed glide away. The swinging doors closed with a hush that felt like a held breath. The donor lounge had carpet that swallowed footsteps and chairs that wanted people to sleep in them. A window looked over the Charles' surface pocked by rain. The Longfellow Bridge carried a red-line train across the metal song, faint through the glass. Noah sank into a chair and looked at his knuckles as if they belonged to someone else. I found the coffee machine and pressed a button. It made a noise like a small engine, then gave me something that tasted like cardboard and heat. How long does a thing like this take? He asked without looking up. As long as it takes to do it right, I said. An hour if the bleeding is simple, 3 if it is not. I put the coffee in his hand. Sip. It is terrible. It will help. He sipped and made a face, then nodded as if he agreed that terrible and helpful could live in the same cup. Who is calling the police? He asked. Do I need to do that? I already did, I said. I pulled my phone and tapped the number Avery had pushed to me. Lieutenant Mendez. She answered on the second ring. This is Mendez. This is Dr. Sloan Harrington at MGH. We have Eva Reyes here with injuries consistent with assault. Her son reports a boyfriend named Cole Danner. We need an officer to take a statement when he is able, and we need patrol aware in case Danner arrives at the hospital. Understood, Mendez said. Her voice had the rough calm of someone who had slept in a car more than once. Send me the hospital contact. I will push it to my team. I will also flag patrol. Do you have a current address for the victim? I gave her the street and apartment number. There were prior incidents, verbal at least. We will knock that door, she said. Thank you. I ended the call and stared at my hands. I had washed them twice since leaving the operating room. I scrubbed the scent of prep from my skin and still I could smell it. I sat. The cushion gave in a way that felt like permission. The social worker came with a clipboard and a badge that read Martine Laird. Her cardigan had a coffee stain near the pocket that she had not had time to deal with. She introduced herself to Noah, not to me, and asked for consent to contact next of kin, then stopped when she saw the compass in his palm and how he held it. She is my mother, Noah said. The school gave Dr. Harrington temporary guardianship for me. Martine took that in. I will make copies for the chart, she said. She turned to me. We will need a safe plan for discharge when she's ready, not to be discussed now, just noted. Understood, I said. Martine softened. I will get you both bottled water. That coffee will take years off your life. When she left the room, dipped into a small quiet. Rain ticked on the glass. A cleaner moved down the hall, pushing a cart that smelled like lemon. Noah spoke into the quiet without looking up. Do you think she is mad at me for hitting Derek? Who is Derek? Cole's son, he said. He said the thing. I hit him. I got suspended. That is why the principal called you. If I had not, you would not have come. He turned the compass lid under his thumb, slow circles. I watched the light catch on the scratched brass. I cannot answer for your mother, I said. I can tell you I have hit a thing or two in my life without lifting a hand. He looked at me for the first time since the doors had closed. The corners of his mouth lifted 1 degree. I stepped out to the corridor and called a number I had not called in years. Lydia Crane's voicemail picked up on the second tone. The message was neat and formal. I listened to the recorded version of a person who had once kept my grief in a narrow lane so I could drive through my days. I did not leave a message. Rohan texted, ready. I texted back 1 word, here. I brought Noah to the observation gallery, a narrow room behind glass that looked down on the operating field. The sound was damped. The white of the drapes glowed under the OR lights. Rohan stood at the head of the table, hands held at shoulder height, while a nurse dried them. He looked through the microscope and began. I forgot to blink. I watched the work I had done 1,000 times done by someone I trusted. The suction drew dark blood away. The brain pulsed under the membrane like something breathing under frost. When the hematoma released, the hemisphere rose and settled. Avery entered the gallery quietly. She handed me a printout. Initial labs, she said. Stable enough. We are managing pressure. He is smooth. I nodded and moved the printout back to her without looking at it. Numbers could sit on a ledge for now. Noah's breath fogged the glass in a pale oval. He did not touch it. He stood with his hands in his pockets as if to remind them there was nothing here they could fix. The longest part of the case is not the opening. It is closing once the disaster has been undone. Rohan placed the bone and set plates like small silver birds. The scrub nurse counted sponges, then counted again. The drapes came down and the room shifted from battle to maintenance. Avery touched my sleeve. He will come brief you when she is out. We stepped back from the glass. The hallway smelled like clean sheets and glove powder. Noah leaned on the wall for a moment, then straightened. Rohan came 10 minutes later, cap still on, eyes a little red around the edges. We evacuated the hematoma, he said. We controlled bleeding along the middle meningeal. There is significant swelling, so she will remain sedated, cooled, and monitored. The next 2 days are important. She is young and strong. That helps. Thank you, I said. He put his hand on Noah's shoulder. You did the right thing coming here, he said. She is in good hands. Noah nodded once. His jaw was tight. The muscle there worked like he was chewing on a nail. They wheeled Eva past us a little later, cleaner, now hair shaved, where it had to be bandaged neat and white. Noah did not try to walk beside the bed. He stepped back to let the procession pass. His palm found the compass in his pocket like it had always been there. The doors to the intensive care unit opened and closed. The monitor spoke in even tones, small and precise. I felt the weight of my hands against my sides and let them rest there. Outside rain stitched the river. A red line train slid across the bridge and the city answered in metal. In Noah's pocket, the needle trembled and tried for north. By the time Eva settled into the ICU, the rain had softened to a steady hiss against the windows. The monitors found their rhythm. Coolant whispered through the cooling blanket. Numbers climbed and fell within lanes that meant not yet losing. Noah watched until the nurse pulled the curtain to half. His chin lifted like he intended to argue, then dropped. He slid the compass deeper in his pocket as if the small weight might anchor him. You cannot sleep in a hospital chair, I said. You will break in half. Come with me. We will be back early. He looked past me to the door Eva had gone through. He nodded once. I will leave my number with the nurse. We left security with copies of the guardianship. Gus promised patrols up the ICU hall and a photo at every desk. Lieutenant Mendez sent a text that read, received. Working. I put my phone in my coat and felt the shape of it against my ribs. We walked the block to the garage under a film of mist. The red line slid over Longfellow, a dark bar of cars with windows lit like beads. On the ramp, Noah kept a hand cuffed to his pocket, fingers worrying the brass rim. The car smelled like rain and the faint clean of hospital soap. My building faced the river. The doorman nodded with a soft Dr. Harrington that made everything inside me sit up a little straighter. We rode in a glass elevator and watched the city slide with us. The doors opened on white and quiet. The condo kept its secrets in plain sight. Glass walls, pale wood, abstracts in blues and ash that matched the river in winter. The air had the neutral scent of filtered air and something like linen. The room returned your voice to you after smoothing its edges. Noah stepped in and stood on the threshold of the living room with his hands at his sides. His shoes bled a slow dark onto the entry rug. He did not move until I told him it was fine. He came forward. He looked around like the ceiling might lower onto him if he breathed too hard. "Kitchen is that way," I said. "Bathroom there. You can take the guest room." He walked to the kitchen island and opened the fridge. Its light fell on 2 lemons, a carton of kefir mustard, and a bruise of parsley folded into a damp paper towel. He shut the door with the careful hands of someone closing a stranger's drawer. "You live here or you only sleep here?" he asked. "Today we will eat here," I said. "Hang your hoodie on the chair. It will dry." He pulled the wet fabric over his head and stood for a moment in a t-shirt that had a faded space shuttle on it. The shirt clung to his shoulders. He stuffed the hoodie through the back of a chair, created a small puddle, and did not pretend he had not. "We can order," I said. He shook his head. "I like to go look at food first, so I know it is real." "Put your shoes back on," I said. "Downstairs pharmacy has a market." We rode down. The market was fluorescent and efficient. Shiny apples, a cage of baguettes, a row of cereals that made their own weather in the boxes. Noah moved through the aisles with quiet intention. He checked prices. He held a box of chocolate cereal and looked at it like it could explode. "Do you want it?" I asked. "It costs more," he said, but his hand did not put it back. "Put it in," I said. "Get milk. Whole milk, not that thin blue thing." He reached for the red cap and smiled just enough to be seen. We added eggs, pasta marinara, a small parm wedge, the color of worn paper salad mix, 2 oranges, a loaf of sourdough, and a tin of hot cocoa. At the register, he watched the numbers climb with a kind of reverence and distrust. I slid my card and signed. The pen made a squeak that felt human. Back upstairs, he set the bag on the counter with a gentleness that did not match cardboard. He put the milk in the fridge and the cereal in the cabinet, then stepped back as if he had done something illicit. "Hungry now or after a shower?" I asked. "Now," he said. "No, wait. I will shower in case I fall asleep later." He disappeared down the hall with a towel. Water thudded and hissed, then steadied. I cut bread. I put a pot of water on. I tipped sauce into a small pan and warmed it until it smelled like tomatoes and garlic and the faint iron of simmer. The kitchen fan purred. The room shifted from museum to kitchen when the first clove opened. Noah came back with damp hair and a clean t-shirt. He rubbed his hands on the thighs of his jeans to stop fiddling with the compass. He sat and watched me drop pasta into water, and the water surged as if it had been waiting for that event all day. "You cook," he said. "Not often," I said. "Enough. Here." I slid a cutting board toward him with a head of lettuce and a knife. "You do that." He tore leaves by hand instead of cutting them. He added salt with the care of someone who had learned that what you add matters. When he finished, he wiped the board with his palm and then a towel, because that is what you do to something you will need again. We ate at the glass table that had lived more as a surface for paper than a table. He twirled pasta and ate with the gasps of someone who had stayed too long in a cold place. A breadcrumb fell and made a tiny star on the glass. He did not clean it. I did not either. "How do you know my father's handwriting?" he asked around a mouthful, then swallowed and looked embarrassed. "There are letters," I said. "In a box," he said. He drank water. He smiled at the taste as if water could surprise him. "She cries sometimes when she looks at that box. She thinks I do not see. I see." I reached for my napkin and did not lift it. He had small block print, I said. Clean corners. He put dots under his question marks. It annoyed his English teacher, and he did not stop. Noah laughed once, a small sound like a hinge that has been oiled. "That is a weird thing to do." He did not ask permission to be odd, I said. He liked puzzles. He could not sing. He loved the sky enough to convince me to leave the city at midnight to watch a meteor shower I could not see. Noah's eyes softened in a way that changed the shape of his face. "Do I look like him?" he asked, and then flinched like he had been too loud. "In the eyes," I said. in the way you look at a thing until it stops hiding. Also when you are stubborn. I'm not stubborn, he said automatically, and caught himself smiling at the speed of the lie. The red line thrummed a steel whisper moving across water. It sat in the room like the sound of a clock. He finished his pasta and collected his plate, then paused to see if that was allowed, then took mine. He stood at the sink and washed both with the patience of ritual. When he dried his hands, he winced and flexed his fingers. The scraped knuckles were red and tender. "Let me see," I said. He offered his hand without performance. I turned it toward the light. The skin was split over 2 knuckles, nothing deep, bone intact, the kind of injury that happens when something in the world hits something in you. "I have Band-Aids," I said. I found a small tin in a drawer with a cross on it and pulled the wrappers off with a practiced tug. I smoothed the edges with a thumb. His skin warmed under my hand as if it had decided to take blood again. "You do this every day," he said. "Fix hands." "I try," I said. He stood at the gallery wall afterward and found the 2 photos that were not art. In one, Aiden, in a borrowed suit, grinned at the camera with a tie that was crooked and could not be convinced to be straight. In the other, he leaned with friends on a railing with the Zakim Bridge behind them, the white cables a harp in the sky. The photo caught Aiden mid-laugh and mid-future. Noah put 2 fingertips to the glass, then pulled them back and wiped the smudge on his jeans. "I have one picture," he said. "In my room. He is at a lake. He is laughing, but you can see his front tooth is chipped." "He chipped it on a dock ladder," I said. "I said we were going to the dentist tomorrow. He said no one could see it. He smiled bigger for a week." Noah stood very still. "She told you that he said searching my face for seams." "He told me that I said." The quiet that followed felt like a step inside after the wind. He went to the guest room. The bed was made too crisp, the pillows too fat. He stood in the doorway with the bag of groceries still on the counter behind him. "You can move things," I said. "You can make a mess without being arrested." He set his backpack by the bed and took the compass out of his pocket. He held it over the nightstand and did not put it down as if the surface were water and he might lose it. He set it at last and watched the needle find and lose a direction, then find it again. In the living room, the lamp made a cone of warm on the floor. I opened the laptop to scan Eva's chart. Pressure numbers, fluid balance, vent settings, a line that read good urine output, which always looks too cheerful and means we are not failing a kidney. I closed the screen. My phone buzzed. Mendez again. Camera in hallway shows Danner dragging a person into his car, working on warrants. Anonymous 911 from a burner put victim behind warehouse near the river, found by patrol after call dropped. I read it twice. I typed, "Thank you." I added, "Do not let him into this building." She sent back, "Already flagged." Noah came back to the kitchen in socks hair, now a dark halo from drying. He reached for the cereal box, checked my face, and poured a small bowl. He ate, standing spoon ticking the side of the bowl. He set the bowl in the sink and turned to leave, then turned back. "If she wakes up and is mad," he said to the window, "I can take that." "She will be in pain," I said. "Pain makes people say things they do not mean." He nodded. "That is true." He walked to the guest room. At the door he turned. "Thank you for the cereal," he said, as if gratitude should be rationed. "And the Band-Aids." The guest room door did not quite latch. The apartment settled. Rain tapped the glass with soft nails. A train crossed the river and the city answered. In the guest room, on the nightstand, the needle steadied and pointed at a direction that existed whether we believed in it or not. Morning came gray and close to the glass. The river wore a skin of tin. A red-line train slipped over Longfellow like a seamstress drawing thread through cloth. I checked Eva's chart on my phone before I put on shoes. Numbers were steady. The cooling blanket hummed. A nurse had written comfortable under sedation, which meant tolerating the machines. Noah stood in the kitchen in socks with the cereal box open. His hair stuck up at the back like a small crown. He poured a small bowl and ate without looking at the clock. The compass lay near his elbow. The needle quivered and settled. "Lieutenant Mendez can get us into the apartment," I said. "An officer will meet us. 40 minutes. We take what you need and we leave." He nodded. His eyes moved to the window and back. "Shoes," he said, as if reminding himself of a step. We met Officer Keely O'Brien at the curb outside a brick building that had been painted beige in the 90s and never forgiven it. Keely wore a rain shell and a look that said she had seen every version of this morning. She checked the name on her clipboard and keyed us in with a MasterCard. The hallway smelled like fried onions and last night's smoke. 30 minutes, she said. Main living area is cleared. Bedroom is sealed. Stay where I tell you. If I say stop, you stop. Inside silence, pressed up against the walls. A lamp lay on its side in the living room. The shade wore a bent crown. A chair had one leg kicked in and sat crooked against the table. On the far wall, Noah's certificates were framed in cheap wood and carefully spaced. One had slipped but not fallen. He went straight to the kitchen. He opened a cabinet and took 2 bowls, then a drawer for a spoon, then shut both, as if to test that drawers still closed in this house. He pulled a small trash bag from under the sink and began to fill it with things that mattered for a boy, and not a scene toothbrush, a jar of peanut butter, a worn deck of cards, a phone charger curled like a snake. Closet, he said more to himself than to me. He crossed to a narrow hallway and reached up to the shelf above the coats. His fingertips tapped air, then tin. He grunted, lifted, and brought down a metal box the size of a shoebox. It was dented on one corner and had a small clasp that did not want to move. "That is the box," he said. He held it like it might slip and break the floor if it fell. "She keeps it up high." "Let me," I said. I took it and felt the honest weight of paper and small metal. The clasp gave under my thumb. I did not open it yet. Noah stepped into the bedroom door and stopped when he saw the yellow tape across it. Keely shook her head. He stepped back. He looked at the drift of things outside the tape. A sweater folded as if someone had meant to put it away. A book face down with a receipt for a clinic copay used as a marker. A pair of boots by the wall with the laces tied neat. He came back to the living room and sank onto the couch that had seen too much. His hands stayed on his knees as if he had learned that hands should be easy to find. He looked at a stain on the carpet and then away. Keely walked the apartment once more with professional eyes. She paused by the door and looked at Noah's knuckles. "You want ice for those?" "No," he said. "They are old now." She nodded and gave him a minute to choose something else in case he wanted to change the answer. He did not. We took clothes from the laundry basket and a pair of shoes that had mud on one toe. We took a stack of school notebooks held with a rubber band that had lost its hope and broke when I touched it. We took the plastic folder that held a birth certificate and a shot record and 8 folded school permission slips. I slid the folder into my bag, the metal box I kept in my hand. In the car, Noah sat with the box on his lap and his palm on its lid. He looked at the lid and at my hand and back at the lid. "Can we open it at your house?" he asked. "Not here." "At home," I said. We rode in silence except for the city speaking to itself in tires and brakes. A red line train came into view and vanished behind brick. Noah watched it until it was gone. In the elevator, he held the box against his ribs like a book. He stepped out into the white quiet and took off his shoes without being asked. At the table, he set the box in the center and waited. He did not pretend that patience cost nothing. He looked at me. I opened the lid. Paper lived there. Photographs in a plastic sleeve. Letters tied with a ribbon that had once been blue. A small velvet pouch the color of dusk. A folded program from a memorial service with Aiden's name in serif font. A Beacon Hill patch with the edges frayed. Noah reached for the photographs first. He slid them from the sleeve and set them out like cards. Aiden at a lake with his hair wet and his front tooth chipped. Aiden and Eva at what looked like a smear of cotton candy on their mouths. Aiden in an ill-fitting suit tie, crooked because he liked it that way. Eva in a sundress sitting on a picnic table, her hand on his knee, as if she had always known where to put it. He moved each photo like he was keeping count. He left fingerprints of heat on the gloss. He pushed one toward me. Aiden's 17 eyes, bright the compass chain visible at his belt loop. "That one," I said. My voice felt like it came from another room. He thought he was a magician with that compass. He could make it appear and vanish. He had cards up his sleeve. He never won at poker. Noah smiled without showing teeth. He touched the velvet pouch next. The drawstring gave. He tipped the pouch into his palm. A ring slid out and caught light. Silver with a small opal that held blue and green in a cloud. For our someday, Noah read from the narrow paper that was with it. The handwriting was Aiden's small blocks. Then A, no last name. He tucked the ring back into the pouch and set it near the photographs. His hand shook once, then stopped. The letters were next. The ribbon came free with a tug that made a small whisper. Noah looked at my face and held them out to me. "You read that one," he said. "I do not know which are private." I took the top envelope. The paper was thin. The stamp was the price of a stamp 17 years ago. The postmark said Burlington, Vermont. It was addressed to Dr. Sloan Harrington in a hand I had not seen on paper, only in my head. The date sat 1 week after the day my life had burned. My fingers were not sure. I slid a nail along the edge and lifted the flap. Inside was a single page with a crease that had remembered its job. Dr. Harrington, you do not know me. I loved your son. My name is Eva Reyes. I am writing to tell you I am 4 months pregnant. Aiden knew. He wanted to tell you himself at Christmas. He did not get to. My parents are sending me to my aunt in Burlington until the baby comes. They have asked me not to contact anyone. I'm sorry to send this to your work. I tried to call and could not reach you. I do not want anything from you. I thought you should know. If you want to be part of this, here is the address. If you do not, I understand. I'm sorry for your loss. I miss him. Eva. The room narrowed at the edges and then found itself again. The heater clicked in the wall, a small domestic sound that did not belong to this paper. I passed the letter to Noah with both hands. He read it without blinking. When he finished, he put it on the table in a square as if it might stand if he asked it to. She tried, he said. His voice had no anger. It had weight. Yes, I said. He picked up the envelope and turned it over. Where a return address might have gone there was only a faint grease shadow from a hand. He touched the postmark. Did you get it? He asked. The question was simple as a door. No, I said. I walked to the study and opened the bottom drawer of the white desk. Files sat in neat rows. In the back, a folder with the old office address and the year written in my block script. I brought the folder to the table and flipped through notes, condolences, a program. A bill for flowers I do not remember ordering. At the back lay an envelope with a yellow sticker that said, "Undeliverable and return to sender." The ink had bled where rain had touched it. The address on the front was mine. The sender was a Burlington return I could not read because the sticker wrote over it. Noah laid the returned envelope next to the letter. He did not touch it. He sat with his hands open on the table as if he had finally decided they had not done anything wrong. I told her you were a surgeon, he said. She said you were brilliant and busy and very hard to get to. Both things were true, I said. One of them mattered more than I let it. We sat with the paper and the ring and the photographs. The room felt less white with the box open. The apartment had a different sound when there was history on the table. The fridge clicked. A car horn on the street complained and then quit. A train crossed the river and the rails spoke back. My phone vibrated on the counter. Lieutenant Mendez, I answered. We have a warrant, she said. We took Danner into custody at his building. Security camera shows him dragging an unconscious woman to his car. We recovered the victim's phone from the floorboard and her purse in the trunk. He denied. Then he asked for counsel. There is also an anonymous 911 from a burner that put officers on the warehouse where she was found. I want a statement from the kid when he can handle it. We can meet you at the hospital, I said. Thank you. She grunted something that was not exactly, you are welcome, and hung up. I stood there with the phone in my hand and the letter on the glass. Noah looked at me. He did not ask for words I did not have. He picked up the velvet pouch and set it in the box again as if he were putting away breath. He slid the letter back into its envelope and then out again and then left it out. Can I keep the pictures in my room, he asked. Yes, I said. He stacked them with a care that made the edges align. He rose and took them down the hall. I closed the box and kept the letter out. I put the returned envelope on top of it. I held both in my hands and felt the small pulse that lived at my wrists. Outside, the morning had warmed by an inch. The river kept moving. The city told the same story in a different tense. In the other room, Noah's door clicked shut at last. I stood at the table with paper that should have reached me and a ring that had waited for some day. The compass sat by the salt shaker. The needle moved and settled and the lid caught the light. The hospital smelled like rain and prep when we came in. The elevators moved fast and quiet. In the ICU, lights were low enough to suggest night even when the clock said morning. Eva lay under the cooling blanket that sighed in gentle waves. Numbers on the monitor drew narrow lanes and stayed inside them. Avery Klein met us at the glass. She held a tablet close to her chest. Intracranial pressure is trending down, she said. Vent settings minimal, vital steady. Patel wants to begin a slow wean of sedation. Do it, I said. Noah leaned close to the frame without touching it. His breath fogged a small circle on the glass and vanished. The compass sat in his pocket, a round shape under thin denim. His fingers rested near it as if the brass could conduct courage. Rohan came around the corner with a cap in his hand. and the alert look that meant he had slept for an hour and a half. "We will lighten in increments," he said. "No stimulation, no noise. Let the brain come forward on its own. When we speak once and clear." He looked at Noah. "You stand where she can hear you. Say your name. Tell her something simple. The brain remembers voices." Noah nodded. His throat worked. "I can do that." A nurse silenced an alarm that had started for no good reason. The room was warm and dry. Tape held lines in neat roads along Eva's arm. The cooling blanket whispered and then paused, then whispered again. The anesthetist adjusted a dial and read a number aloud for the chart. We waited. There is not much to look at while a body makes its own decisions. You track patterns. You listen for tiny rebellions. The ventilator sighed and paused to let lungs take a piece of work back. The blood pressure cuff swallowed her forearm and then let go. A drop of condensation ran down the inside of a bag of saline like a slow comet. Noah stood at the head of the bed where Rohan pointed and put his hand on the rail. "Mom," he said, careful and soft. "It is me." "Noah." "Nothing." The room kept doing its small chores. He tried again. "We had pasta last night," he said. "I remembered to salt the water. It tasted right." A slight tremor ran through the tendons at Eva's wrist. The pulse showed it first. A thin line moved like a plucked string and settled. Avery's hand landed on my sleeve and then left it like a steadying touch she would not presume to hold. The nurse noted the change on the chart with a pencil because pens feel too permanent for a first sign. Noah did not move. He spoke to the air that came and went through the tube. "We bought chocolate cereal," he said. "Dr. Harrington said yes before I could decide. I saved some for you." The ventilator allowed a longer pause. The monitor wrote it down and did not complain. Rohan raised 2 fingers. "That is enough for now," he said. "Let us see what she does with the space." We stepped back to the glass. The nurse drew the curtain to a soft half again. Noah had to breathe out before he remembered to breathe in. I looked at his hands. The knuckles wore strips of beige where the skin had split. The edges lay flat from the way I had smoothed them. He flexed. The bandages held. "Lieutenant Mendez is on her way for a statement," Avery said to me. "We can use the consultation room near the ICU, so he is close. Text when she arrives," I said. Noah and I sat in the family alcove. Chairs that tried to be comfortable lined up under a painting of water that did not look like water. A volunteer pushed a cart with tea bags, plastic cups, and wrapped crackers. She set a styrofoam cup in front of Noah and asked if he took sugar. He said no and then took one when she left it anyway. Mendez came in with a file under her arm and the weather on her coat. She shook rain from the cuff and gave Noah a small nod that was not quite a smile. Her hair was pulled back with a practical band. "I am Lieutenant Mendez," she said. "Do you prefer Noah or Reyes?" "Noah," he said. She pointed to a small recorder and pressed a red button. "This is a statement regarding the assault of Eva Reyes. Date and time noted. Present are Lieutenant Mendez and Noah Reyes. Dr. Harrington is in the hallway. Noah, tell me about the day your mother went missing." He folded his hands in his lap and then unfolded them. He put them on the table so she could see them. The beige strips made a small flag of injury. He looked at the recorder and then at her. "Cole was angry," he said. "He said we were out of milk and it was my fault. He said if my mother had not kept me, she would have a better life. He said a lot of things. It smelled like old beer and his jacket smelled like smoke." Derek laughed when Cole said it. "I hit Derek. He bled." Cole yelled and threw a chair. A leg broke. He swallowed. Mendez waited. "My mother told me to go to my room," he said. "She told Cole to leave. I went in and shut the door. I could hear them in the kitchen." The voices went quiet. The door closed hard. Then I did not hear anything. "What time was this?" Mendez asked. 7, he said. "Maybe a little after. I can check my phone." She nodded. "Do you know if anyone else was in the apartment?" "No," he said. "Just us." "Did you see your mother leave?" "No," he said. "When I came out, it was quiet." The lamp was on its side, the chair was broken, the door was not locked. "Did Cole have a car?" "Yes," he said. A gray sedan with a cracked tail light. It smells like smoke and old coffee. Mendes kept her pen moving, then clicked it closed. She stopped the recorder. "That is good," she said in a voice that implied the record would stand on its own. "We have video from the hall showing him dragging someone. We recovered your mother's phone and purse from his car. There was a call to 911 from a prepaid phone that led patrol to her. We will not need you for more today." He nodded. "Thank you," he said, and seemed surprised to hear the word. She slid a card across the table. "If anyone tries to reach you pretending to be me, call this number and ask for me by name," she said. "Security is posted on this floor. Do not worry about the rest." Gus appeared in the doorway when she left. He held a color printout. Cole's face looked at us with the slack defiance people put on when they think it will matter. The photo had the scar at the eyebrow and the tattoo that had lost a point. "It is on every desk," Gus said. "No one gets past the lobby without a badge. The garage is watched." "Thank you," I said. Noah stood. He had that alert tilt of the head that children have when they are listening for something through a door. The something was not in the hallway. It was in his own chest. He ran a palm over his shirt as if to press the sound down. We went back to the glass. The nurse charted with small, tidy letters. Eva's lashes fluttered in a slow, directionless way. Her face had color that was not simply machine heat. Rohan stood on the far side of the bed and watched with arms folded. "Say your name again," he said without looking up. Noah stepped to the rail. "It is me," he said. "Noah." Eva's hand shifted under the sheet. The movement was not big. The fingers changed from open to almost closed and then open again. The monitor did not spike. It changed by a breath. Noah's face changed a little. He moved his hand to where she could find it and did not force contact. After a moment, her fingers curled, touched the back of his knuckles, and rested there. The contact was ordinary and full of news. "That is good," Rohan said. "We keep it like this. No more talking now." We stepped back into the hallway. The walls had the smell of glove powder and the faint lemon the night crew left behind. Noah put both hands in his pockets like he needed to keep them from reaching for more. "Cafeteria," I said. "You need something that did not come in a box." We took the elevator down. The tray line offered eggs that glistened and coffee that looked like oil from space. Noah chose a banana and a small plate of scrambled eggs, then changed his mind and added toast. He sat at a table near the window where the river showed itself in pieces between buildings. He ate like someone making a truce. He chewed and watched sunlight push through a low break in the clouds. The red line crossed the bridge with a hum that stitched the water to the sky. "Do you think she knew I was there?" he asked. "I think the body knows the voices that belong to it," I said. He nodded and took another bite. He finished the banana and folded the peel to the size of a small coin and set it on the edge of his tray. He wiped his fingers on a napkin and stood without waiting for me. He had a line in him that knew when to move. In the ICU, the nurse had lowered the sedation another notch. The ventilator paused more often, and Eva took the slack without faltering. Noah stepped to the same place at the same angle. The compass in his pocket tapped against the rail once, when he leaned, then stilled. He spoke only once more. "It is still me," he said a little closer this time. Her fingers found his hand and held. "Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If this story resonated with you or made you reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next story. I'll see you next time as we continue exploring more journeys and lessons together.